Hello and welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, I will tell you how to write equations in LibreOffice. Many people need to write equations in their documents, and equations are a little bit difficult to do because they have symbols and operators, and you cannot always, create those kinds of equations by using simple keyboard typing. So I will show you how to write equations in LibreOffice 7. I am using for this tutorial LibreOffice version 7.1, but if you have a previous version like 7.0 or even 6, everything that I'm about to show you should work perfectly fine. The primary tool for creating an equation or a formula in LibreOffice is LibreOffice Math. And as you start LibreOffice, you can just click here and click on Math Formula. So LibreOffice Math starts, and very quickly I will just tell you how this works. There are three windows on this screen. The window at the bottom, this window, is the formula editor window. This is the preview window. So whatever you're going to type here, say for example, if you're typing a plus b, it's going to appear as a formula right here in the preview window. And on the left hand side, you have the elements window. So a number of things that you would probably be using, say for example, if you wanted to divide a by b and wanted to have it in the classical way, like a bar and b, numerator denominator, you can just simply click on one of the prefabricated placeholders, something like this, and then just simply come here and type a and b, and whatever you type here will then become visible in the preview window. So this is what we are basically going to use. The good thing about this tool is that while you can use it independently, you can also have access to this tool from inside Writer and from inside Impress and also from inside Calc. So you need not actually specifically come and use LibreOffice Math. You can actually open up a document and have access to the LibreOffice Math directly inside the document, inside Writer, Calc, and Impress. So for this tutorial, I'm going to show you equations that I will write inside a document. And for this purpose, I have compiled a few variants of equations, and we will try to see how we can write them easily and quickly. So let me just open this document. This is a writer document, and we will see how to write equations. I have a few samples here, and we will work on different kinds of equations such that you can have a good idea of how equations can actually be written. So just simply come to a new line, and to insert an equation, you can just come here, insert, object, and formula. But before we move forward, if the screen of your LibreOffice Writer is appearing different from what you see here, you have to go to View, and you have to go to User Interface, and then you have to choose Tabbed Interface. So this makes LibreOffice Writer look quite like Microsoft Word, and people who are transitioning to LibreOffice from Microsoft Word can feel at home. It's a very neat and good interface, so you can just simply convert your default interface by going to View, User Interface, and then choosing the tabbed interface. Okay, let's start writing this equation. So to create an equation, come on a new line and just choose Insert from the menu, then choose Object, and then choose Formula. So when you click on this, the same tool opens up, LibreOffice Math or the formula editor. And just wanted to mention that if you are not able to see these boxes, you might notice that you might have a screen like this. So you should just see these little arrows here. You can just click on them to open and expand this elements box, and you can click on this arrow to expand and open the formula editor box. So what you are seeing here is actually your document, the one in which you are typing, and this is the formula editor. So whatever you're going to type here will appear here. Let's just simply come here and start writing this equation. So I'm just going to type in E is equal to mc square. So I really don't know how to write c square. If I write 2, it doesn't appear like this image that we are trying to portray. So how do we do this? So I'm just going to go ahead and delete C. So when you're faced with such kind of a situation, you'll have to come and look in this elements box and try to find some format that meets your specifications. So these are just prefabricated placeholders, and as you can see, this is a subscript and this is a to the power b. So this is something that we are basically looking for, and we can just come here and click on it, and the moment we click on it, we get this placeholder here and something written inside the formula editor. And what we see here is that we have to give a value here, and this will fill this box, and we have to give a value here which will fill this little box. I can directly come and type here itself by clicking, but I think it's better to type here. And you will also notice that the way the power is actually being expressed in the formula is by using the caret symbol. So what we are seeing here basically is a markup language, and if we start learning this language, we can write formulas very easily. And the first lesson is that you can raise a number to a power by using the caret symbol. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come here and write C, and then I'm going to come here, and inside these curly brackets I'm going to come here and write 2. So I get my formula exactly as I wanted it to be. And I have learned the markup for power, which is the caret symbol, which is available on your keypad. You just have to look for it and you will get this caret symbol. And also notice that it is completely ignoring spaces inside the formula editor, so it really does not matter. And you can just simply come here and write this equation by using the caret symbol. Once you are done, you can just come here and click on it, that is inside your document, and you have a formula where you wanted that formula to be. If you want to make changes, you can double click on this formula. You are back in again into the formula editor, and you can go ahead and make changes as you want. If you want to change the size of this of the font here in the formula, after you have opened the formula editor, as you are seeing now, just go to format and change font size. Just click on font size and you can alter the font size from here. Later on I will tell you another technique to use markup to increase the font size quite easily, but then you can just simply change the font size by going to font and using the font size. You can also change the spacing between the characters inside the formula by choosing spacing, and you can also choose to use a different font by using font. So we will stick with the default. So once you are done, you can just simply come here. One more small point is that you can save this formula. So you can right click on it and then just simply go ahead and save a copy of this formula as, for example, I have created a folder called as Math Formula Bank, and because I work with formulas very frequently, I would like to store this formula, and I can just call it relativity equation. And I have two choices to store this formula, and one of the choices is ODF formula, and the second choice is math markup language, or MML. So the default is ODF. Let me just store it as MML, and then I'm going to go ahead and store this special relativity equation as an MML file, and I'm just going to go ahead and save it. So what is the advantage? If you ever wanted to import a formula, like if you were, say for example, you want to get this formula back and you have deleted it, you can start your formula by going to insert object and formula, and instead of typing this formula yourself, you can go to tools from inside the formula editor, and then you can go and import a formula. So just come here and click on it, and just head to that folder wherever you had stored that equation, and just click on it and just open it. So you will get your formula back. So once you have saved the formula, you don't have to do this again and again, and you can reuse this formula multiple number of times. Let's try another one. And in this particular case, we want to include in the document shown in this image a formula which is conventionally looking like A upon B, and multiplied by another number. So we will just come here to insert object and formula, and what I'm going to do now is to just simply write slope is equal to, now the thing is that if I just type in rise and then use a slash upon run, it just simply duplicates it the way it is. What I want is in this numerator denominator style, the conventional style, and I also want this multiplication sign. So what can I do? I am going to delete this. I'll have to look now for a pattern, and this is a placeholder that meets my requirement for rise upon run, so I can just click on top of it. And I learned something very interesting, that if I ever want to create an equation like this, A upon B, all I have to do is to type something here, then type over, and then type something in the denominator. So this is a second lesson in markup language. The first one was A to the power of B, and that was using a caret symbol. Here we will just simply go and write rise over run. So I can just simply go ahead and type in run. The reason why we use curly brackets is very simple. And the reason is that if we had more than one term, for example, run minus 5, then everything inside the curly bracket would be treated as one term. So it's a good practice to write things inside curly brackets. So I'm just going to put this here, rise over run. Now I want a multiplication sign. So the multiplication sign can come using the markup keyword times. So if you use the word times and then follow it with 100, you don't have to look for any operator or symbol. As you can see here, this is the multiplication sign. If I put it here, it just comes back and shows me times. So if I can, instead of going and looking for these prefabricated placeholders, if I can just learn that multiplication sign will be visible if I just write the word times, I can recreate this particular equation. When I click on it, I'm back again, and I can right click on it, save a copy of it. So let me just go down now, and let us try to write another equation here. And in this particular case, we already know how to raise a number to a power, but we will also learn the markup for creating square root. So let us just go to insert object and formula, and I'm going to go ahead and say C is equal to, now I need the under root sign, so I will just come here and start looking. And if I come down to functions, this is something that is a little bit frustrating to a lot of people. But as you start working with it, you will come to see and remember where the elements are that you actually need. But then later on, once you remember the markups, you don't actually have to come to this box at all. So let us just come here and go to functions. And this is something that I want to really look for. So I'm just going to come here and press it. So I have now come to learn that if I put square root and two curly brackets, whatever I write inside this here will be shown under root. So if I was to say A, and I already know that I can use a caret symbol, square, and then I'm just using a plus sign, and then B, a caret symbol, and then square. So I can reproduce this equation very, very easily. So let us now try to write this independently. We are not going to go and use these elements now that we have some knowledge about the markup. So let us try to write this. C is equal to SQRT. I'm going to open a curly bracket. Notice that the closing curly bracket will be automatically provided. So I just gave one and the other has been already provided. And you will see that under root sign is right here. And I can then just go ahead and say A caret 2 plus B raised to the power 2, and I have a nice looking equation right here. And I have done this using the markup language rather than actually using the element box right here. So let's go forward and try to have a few other equations. I think we should be very comfortable typing this equation directly because we know how to do A upon B. So let us just go to insert, object, and go to formula. I'm now not taking the help of this side at all. I'm just going to go here and say ndvi is equal to. Now I know that I can create a bar, a numerator denominator, by just simply saying A over B. So because these are multiple terms, I can actually just put curly brackets around them such that I can replace the A with these terms and write over here another set of curly brackets. So what I'm going to do now is the A term is going to be NIR minus red, and the B term is going to be NIR plus red. So I have created or recreated this equation absolutely without taking any help from this particular side, using the markup keywords that I have learned from the previous two equations. And of course I can go and increase the size of this font, but what I can also do is to actually use the size markup tag here. I can just say size 20 and put this whole thing inside two curly brackets. So what I'm basically trying to say here is that everything inside these two curly brackets is actually to be raised to the size of 20. So I can just come here and change it to 10, a smaller sized equation. I can change it to 20, that makes it a bigger sized equation. And what I can also go ahead and do is to do color red. So if I do color red, the equation color can actually change to whatever you want the color to be. So these are a few additional keywords that we can actually use to increase the size of the fonts and change the color of these fonts. So let's move forward and then try to do one more equation. This is a simple equation. It is the same kind, A upon B, but here you will see special Greek alphabets being used. So we will try to figure out how we can use those. These are very commonly used in statistical formulas, so we will have to work out how we can use those. So let us start by going to insert and object and formula. But let me tell you one other way of writing equations, and there is a great advantage in working with this way, and this way is to type in the letters F and N, and this F and N stands for formula number. And after you have typed F and N, just press the F3 key, F3 function key on your laptop, and what is going to happen is this. So you're going to see a dummy formula immediately entered and also numbered automatically. Now this is, it has been put in two rows of a table. The table is not visible, but if you were to click here, you will immediately see that it is a table, and you can delete this by clicking on this number and then just coming here and pressing delete. So when you do that, that equation is gone. Let me tell you this once again. Fn and then the F3 key. So that equation, a dummy equation is entered here. It is centered, and you can then just simply come here. It is already numbered, and one of the great advantages of this method is that you can actually, if you keep writing your equations like this, you can then utilize references and create a table of equations later on. Okay, so let us just double click on this. It opens up the dummy equation, and we can just go ahead and delete this. And so we now have an equation. Let us type z is equal to, and I'm going to put in my first term, and then I'm going to go ahead and say over, and then put in my second term. Notice the closing bracket is automatically provided. I'm going to write x minus, and I need now the mu sign. So I will have to come here and click on this, and then I have Greek alphabets right here, and I can pick up the mu symbol from here and insert. So you will notice that it is nothing but percent mu. So if you wanted to type this again, you don't have to go here, just write percent mu markup tag here and it will appear. And which would also mean that, you know, delta would mean percent delta, gamma would mean percent gamma. For a few, you can just come here and try them out, but then this is what it is. And then in the second term, I will go here to the symbol and pick up sigma and then enter. So this should actually put inside these curly brackets percent sigma. So that is exactly what has happened. So if we learn these, we don't have to, you know, go and look for these symbols. We can actually quite easily go ahead and type these symbols. So using this technique, you have now a numbered equation, and we will continue using this particular technique. The equation is centered, but as I was just mentioning to you, this is actually a table. So if you click here on 1, you will find that this numbering is right. It opens a table tab, and this numbering is right aligned. And if you come and click right in front of this formula, you will find that this is centered. So you'll have to come and click right in front of this formula. Your cursor should be where it is now, and then you can just click on the align left, and this equation can be sent to the left side. So it need not be centered. By default, it is centered. So I just wanted to mention this to you, and if you ever want to delete this, you can just come and click on this number and then just go ahead and delete from the table tab. Okay, so when you click on any other place, the table tab will vanish, and it is a contextual tab that comes only when you click on this particular equation. So let me go ahead and let us now try to type in a little more complicated equation, but I guess the elements are all there. We know how to put a square root, we know how to do a upon b, we know how to raise a number to a power using the caret symbol. The only thing that we need to figure out is how to bring in this summation sign and how to put a bar over a particular variable or a letter. So let us start, and I'm going to use the same technique, Fn formula number, and then press Shift F3, and I get this dummy, and I can just come here and click on it. I'm going to remove this dummy, and let me just scroll up and get this formula in view such that we have an idea what we are doing. So S is equal to, and I'm just going to create two placeholders and over another one. So I have these two terms in front of me. Now I'm going to put in this term, and then I'll tell you how to put sigma, and square root of course we know. So we can just simply come here and press square root, and we will put two curly brackets such that whatever is inside square root will continue for the entire term. So I'm going to now type in bracket x minus, and I need an x bar, but I'm just for the time being typing x, and then I'm raising this caret symbol, and going to 2. So now just see, because I know all these things, I don't need this and I don't need to search for anything here. So just see this, and to get a bar over a number, all you have to do is just simply come here and type bar. So you will notice that there is a bar now on top of X. What you can also do, if you want to accent it, you can just type in overline. So if you do this, the bar is accented. Let us use the bar thing. So we will just come here and use the bar X. So we have created this, and we have a under root sign here. And inside the square root, what we want to do is we want to start our equation with this summation sign. So of course, I know what the keyword is. Markup is for summation sign. But if you were wanting to investigate, you can just open this up and come down to operators. And here you will find a lot of summation signs of different types. So in this particular case, we are looking for this, like summation and something following a summation. So I can just simply, just to know what exactly is going on, I'm just going to put my cursor here and click on this. So I get a summation sign with this quantity, which I have already previously typed, but my interest was to find out this markup keyword. And I can undo this, and that keyword is sum. So I can just undo this and just come here and type sum. So I get my summation symbol, and that's just about it. So I've got the first term, and I'm just going to come down here and type n minus 1. So I have recreated this equation. If, say, for example, I wanted to write some summation from I is equal to 1 to n, as is the case with many statistical formulas, I can just simply come and extend my sum to say from I is equal to 1 to, and I'm going to go ahead and say n. So I have qualified this summation sign with these subscripts and superscripts, making this a little bit more decorative and a little bit more elaborate. So I can do this quite easily, and I'm not touching any of these. But there are times when you don't know what is the markup for this particular thing, so you can just simply put this here, and then you will immediately come to know that this is what you have to write to get something like that, and then learn it and remember it, note it, and the next time you want to use it, you can actually go ahead and use it. So I'm going to come here, and this is already labeled as equation number 2 because I had already used the FN F3 trick. This time around, we will come and create a complicated formula just to kind of convince ourselves that this works. So let me just start typing. We have everything here to write this formula. We know A upon B, we know how to sum. It's just that these are a few terms. We know under root and so on and so forth. So let me just go ahead and press Fn, formula number, and I'm just using my function F3 key. I get a dummy, but the number is incrementing. I'm just going to go ahead, remove this. Let me just bring this here, and I'm going to come here and write this RXY. So now this is a roadblock for me because I really don't know how to write a subscript. When I'm writing XY, it is just coming here. So you can now explore, say for example, if you're coming to formats, you will see that this is we came to know that we can use a caret symbol, but we want this one. So let's try this out, and we discover that something and then underscore something will make it into a subscript. So let us come back here and say R underscore and then XY. So we now have this term here equal to, now because broadly this term is A upon B, I'm going to put in 2 curly brackets, then write over, and then write 2 curly brackets once again. So I now have a term numerator over denominator with a bar Okay, it's going to come a little later once we start typing these terms. So let me just start by typing some of these terms. This is going to get messy, but let us just keep following it. So I will just write X, and you will notice that we now need a subscript. So we already know that we can do that by an underscore character I, minus, we know how to create X with a bar. So I will just come here and say bar X. There has to be a space in between, and then we will close this bracket. So we now have our first term. We have not yet put the summation symbol. We will do that after we finish this term. Then we are going to start another bracket, and let me just close this bracket and come here and then type my second term, y underscore I minus sign and then bar y. So I'm not taking any help from here, and because I remember very simple markup terms, I can create this equation without any particular problem. Let me now come here and add the summation sign. So this is like I just have to come to the start of this equation and type in sum, remember from the previous equation. And I also need to have I is equal to 1 to n. So I will just simply go ahead and say from I is equal to 1 to n, and I have that, and I've completed the first term on the top. Now let me just come and start writing the second term. So I need a square root symbol, so I'm just saying square root, and I'm providing two curly brackets such that my entire all this term can come inside here. So let me just put in the first this summation, this first term, and then the second term. So it is starting with sum, and then I'm going to go ahead and put a round bracket, and then I'm going to come here and say X underscore I minus bar X. So when I'm doing this, I have this term, then I'm coming out of this round bracket and putting a caret symbol, and then going ahead and doing a square. So I have this symbol right here in front of me, and next I'm going to go ahead and take this equation further. So I will just go ahead and then do sum once again. So as you can see, let me just scroll this up a little bit for you. So sum, and then go ahead, put round brackets right here, and then we will continue with our term, and we will say y underscore I minus bar y, and then I'm raising this entire thing to the power of 2, so using a caret symbol and using 2. So I have recreated this formula, and this is just to show you that you can write complicated formulas. This is the formula for correlation coefficient. If you are doing statistics and you need this formula again and again, just right click on it and save a copy as, and I can just come here and say that this is a correlation coefficient, and then I will just use the math. You can use the ODF also, but I'm just using the math markup language, and I have saved this formula. Whenever I need this formula, I can just simply type this formula and bring it back again. So let me just try that, and I'm just coming here, and I will just simply go to insert object and formula, and I'm going to go to my tools and go to import formula, and then just do my correlation coefficient and open. I get back my formula. This time around I don't have to type it. And if suppose I wanted to, I had this dummy equation here and I wanted to paste it with maintaining this numbering, all I have to do is to right click on this, right click, cut, and just come here and paste it. So if this was E is equal to mc square, my other formula would get pasted and the numbering would get maintained. So if you already have a formula, just copy, cut it, and paste it on fn f3 formula, which is maintaining the numbering, and you can have replace this with another formula. So next up we are going to just see another variant, how to get this integral sign. So let's try this one now, and you will see that the novelty here is this integral uh, uh, operator and some other characters here. So let's try this out. I'm going to come here and type in formula number and then go to function and press F3. So I have a dummy formula right here. I'll just click on it, and let me just bring this into view, and I'm going to delete this dummy formula and start typing my formula. I need this character right here, and this is the gamma function. Let me try this out. Just come here and use this one and insert. So I think it's capital gamma. So we've got this symbol, and we are going to go ahead and keep typing. So that is this equal to, now we need this sign, and I really don't know what to write here. So I'm going to go here and look for maybe operators and try to see if I can find something. And this is what I need actually, 0 to infinity. So I'm just going to come here and click on this one. So I come to know now that I can type in int from and something here to something here to get this particular sign. The markup is int. And just like we were doing sum from this to this, we just have to replace sum with int. So let me try that out right here, and I'm going to just simply go ahead and say int from, and I will say from 0 to, and I really don't know what the infinity is, what is the markup for infinity. So let me just try to explore. So as you keep exploring, your vocabulary keeps increasing. So I don't see it here, so I'm going to come here and go to special, and this is the infinity sign here. So I will just insert. So this basically just is percent infinite. So if you type percent infinite, you're going to get this sign. Let us go ahead and say t, and I already know how to do a power. So that is the caret symbol. I'm going to, because it is a multiple term x minus 1, I'm going to put in two curly brackets and type in x minus 1 to indicate that the whole of this has to go, and then e, and then once again a curly bracket, if I can, minus t. So I need the caret symbol to raise it to a power. So that raises it to a power, and then I'm just going to go ahead and say dt. So that is how I can actually easily create. If I want a space here in between any of these characters, I can actually type the tilde character. So this is like this squiggly line right here. So when I do this squiggly line here, it introduces a space between two. Otherwise, it would largely ignore space. So this is how you can do some mathematical, formulas. And this is numbered as 4. Let me very quickly show you a few other possibilities. Sometimes, equations have to be written on two separate lines. So this is quite easy to do, and we will just simply do formula number and press F3 to get another new equation right here, and then just double click on it and just come here and say x is equal to 4, and instead of pressing enter and coming on to the next line, you just have to write new line, and then this is the markup for coming on to the next line properly, and then y is equal to 1. So when you do this, you can have something written on two lines. Sometimes you need to multiply or show matrix multiplication. So how do you write these kinds of equations? Let me quickly show this to you. It's not complicated. So let me just come here and say fn function f3, I get my dummy equation. This is equation number 6, and I'm just going to come here, and I will just come here and start typing. Let me just bring that equation in view. So how do you create a matrix? So the markup is just matrix, and we can put two curly brackets, and we already know how to get this x sign. It is by doing times, and then we can put another matrix, and we will put a set of curly brackets right here. So how do we write rows and columns? We can write rows and columns very simply by typing in, for example, in this particular case, 1 and this hash sign, then 2, and then again this hash sign, and then 3. So the single hash is actually creating columns. Now when we want to go to another row, we will use a double hash sign and then keep doing the same thing. So 4 hash 5 hash 6. So I have created the first matrix. We will try to figure out how to put these brackets, which are proportionate in size to the matrix itself. So let us keep continuing, and let us type this particular matrix also. This has 3 rows and 2 columns. So 7 hash 8, then we are moving on to the next row, so double hash, and then 9 hash 10, and then double hash, and then 11 hash 12. So we have created the second matrix also right here. If we want to put this inside a bracket, we will have to come here and put the first term inside the bracket, everything inside the bracket, but you will notice that the bracket is smaller in size to the matrix. So just to make sure, and let us try this here on the second one also. So we are going to put this and also this. So we now have 2 brackets, but they are not proportionate in size to the matrix itself. So we can make them proportionate by just simply typing the markup left, and then on the right bracket, just go ahead and type space right, such that it is touching the closing bracket. Likewise here, touching the opening bracket left and touching the closing bracket right. This will have to be inside, I'm sorry. So inside and right, and we now have a perfectly formatted equation. If we wanted to have space between these two terms, we can come here and press the space bar. This is, remember, this is inside the document, so very much editable, but you will also recall that we could have used the tilde character to type the space right here inside the formula editor box. So we can just come here and you can have equations. So we have written 6 equations, and they are all numbered. They have shown you a variety of ways in which you can type in equations. Once you are done many times in theses, etc., you have to create a table of equations. Because we are using the FN F3 trick, our equations are numbered. Mind you, if I was to come here and delete one of these equations, I'm just clicking here, and this is equation number 5 and this is equation number 6. If I was to come here and delete this, the numbering automatically changes, and so this is a huge big convenience. I'm going to undo this and get this back. Numbering automatically changes, so you don't have to worry about the numbering. Once you are done, just come to the end and then go to references and just go ahead and do a table of contents. So this brings up the table of contents. What we want is actually a table of tables, and we are going to make a special provision. And in this particular case, instead of doing the category table, we are going to come here and choose text in the category. So instead of, again, the title will be index of equations. So I have made 3 changes. I have chosen the type as index of tables, but the subtype or the category is text. This one is captions, and this is text, and I have just changed the title. It will be reading as index of equations. Next, I want to come here to this entries tab, and you will notice there is a little box here just next to this entry E, and I'm just going to type equation. So I've come to my entries tab and just typed in equation inside this box, which is left to this E. Coming back here, remember we have just used index of tables, categories, text, and displays references. So once we have this, and we will just go ahead and press OK, you will get an index of equations right here. And this is just like a table of tables. If you make a change, if you add more equations, you can always right click on it and update the index, and this index will get updated. If you want to edit this, you can always come back here and edit it. There's nothing much to edit basically. So some people might actually think, what would you do if you had tables also? So if you had tables, you would just simply come here to the in the category, and instead of choosing text, you would just choose table. So when you do that, it will not show you an index of equations, but an index of tables themselves. But if you choose text and go to entry and make this entry, this is going to be index of equations. So you can have this right up front. And one of the great things about this is that if you were to come here and delete any one of these, the numbering changes, you can just simply come here and update, and your index is also going to change accordingly. So, and if you were to change this once again, we will be able to get back our equation, and the numbering changes, and you can right click and update and get back your equations, the list of equations in this table of equations or index of equations. So this is how you can enter formulas and equations, and you can create a table of equations right here. And one final thing, that there are times when you might need, for example, a symbol. And if I was to just come here and insert object and formula, and if I wanted a approximately equal or similar sign, for example, I could just say %pi is nearly equal to, so I can just write SIMEQ, okay, and you will see that sign, and I can just say 3.14159, etc., etc. So what I'm saying here is, and if I can just increase the size of it, maybe you can see this properly, size 20. So you can see this properly. So this is the sign that I was talking about. So you can get this sign by just simply using SIMEQ. So this is how you can type in equations, save equations, and load the equations using the MML format, and create any kind of equation, then also have an index of equation table in the end. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much for watching.